Hello and welcome back to Talking Pitchside. I'm your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here recording on a somber Monday after Team USA's defeat to Belgium over the weekend, 5-2. Really a tale of two halves in this one. A tale of a lot of emotions felt after and during this game. It was a rough watch at times. There was hope in the first half, and they do fall short. So you may be listening to this on the day of, or maybe even the day after they play their second game. We will talk about that on Friday in our normal Friday episode to recap Portugal. Hopefully better results coming our way in that episode. But let's talk about the USA-Belgium game here. That's going to be the focus for the episode. Probably a shorter episode because of that. But we just want to deep dive into Team USA's camp and talk some news and notes here. So really, first half, Tony, looked great. I know that you didn't get to watch the full thing, but got to watch back a lot of it. It was competitive. We scored first. It was a really back and forth half. It felt very open, where both teams were just like, it was transition after transition after transition, and we had great opportunities. I mean, Wes McKinney missed an open net at one point off of a corner kick, and eventually got his goal, and he's a set piece. We've got to continue to dominate set pieces, and he's such a weapon in that. And then you have Belgium counter back in the first half, and that long-distance goal, I have a lot of people upset, of course, because of the amount of people that ball went past, including defenders and Cardoso and Ream, and then Matt Turner really should have made that save. If you're hoping your goalkeeper's making that save in a World Cup situation. So it goes into half 1-1, and you're feeling good, and then we kind of get blitzkrieged in the second half, and it just looked rough. It looked disconnected. It looked disjointed. And there's been a lot of quotes coming out after, people frustrated with some things, whether it's energy, whether it's the kits, whether it's the just the formation. So it had a lot of ups and downs, and I have takes on a lot of those things. The kit thing, honestly, I mean, we'll get into that, but I don't think Pulisic was really using it as an excuse. That's why we lost. I don't think that's what he's saying. It was the stupidest thing I've ever watched. I couldn't believe the first thing when I sat down, Tony, and I looked at the TV. It was white on white. I'm like, I can't. I'm watching the TV. I could barely tell who was who on half the time. It was outrageous. It was so stupid. But let me hear your thoughts. Let's get into this.
Well, did you hear the story on the kit thing? Did you hear how that happened?
Oh yeah, how they didn't have any backup kits?
Yes, we are headquartered. We are headquartered. U.S. men's national team headquartered, Atlanta, Georgia. Where are we playing this game? Atlanta, Georgia. There's not a store. There's not a Dick's. There's not nothing that just sells
also, how does Belgium travel across the country with one kit?
Yeah, they're playing two games.
They're playing two games
in America.
I know it was all stupid. It was dumb. It made the visual experiences of fans stupid. I was like, I couldn't tell. Like there would be passes. I was like, oh, it was intercepted. I was like, oh wait, that's the guy on the same team. Oh, never mind. My bad.
Yeah.
So it was a rough watch. But let's do first half here, because we'll get into the second half and we'll get to some tactical things. But give me your reaction to the first half. What you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like.
Okay, so I mean, what I liked. Well, actually, before we get in the first half, let's just start lineup. I think.
That's true.
Turner.
Yeah, we can do that.
Turner and net was maybe the most surprising thing about this lineup to me. Not even the formation. I think Turner and net was more surprising to me.
For those who don't know, it was a 4-2-3-1 is what we played. A lot of speculation of why, because we've been playing a 5-back, and it's been worked really well for us. I mean, me and you have talked. I think it has a lot to do with injuries. We had Miles Robinson hurt. We had Chris Richards hurt. A lot of center backs hurt. And they really went with this formation of a 4-back and having one of the CDMs, Cardoso and Tessman, drop back and basically play as a third CDM in different parts of the game. So continue on. But yes, Turner. Yes. It was the first thing I saw, too, in the lineup card.
And that's just so surprising to me, because if this is supposed to be your guys, which maybe this communicates that it's not, that this formation's not your guys, because you would think that, okay, this is the one of, we run this team out 3 more times. That's it before we go to the World Cup. You would think you'd want a goalkeeper in there, not so much for the confidence or anything else, but just learning how to communicate with his defense, his back line. You got to get those reps. So if Matt Freese is our starter and Pochettino is doing this, I'm extremely confused by that. And then outside the rest of the lineup, I mean, cut us some slack. We knew Miles Robinson was training to the side. This Chris Richards thing was kind of a shock until the last second, that he was out and not going to play a second in this game.
Well, it came out a little bit earlier in the week.
Did it?
They talked about it.
Maybe a
Pochettino
day
talked about it in
before?
a press conference, and
Oh, that's right. I remember sending the tweet
it
in the
was
group
more
chat. I'm out of
confusion of
line here.
they released him for camp with an injury. Like
Yeah.
that's what he was more like. That was odd. But then he came out in this press conference over the, I think it was today, and was like, "I am playing on Tuesday. Like no matter what, I am playing." So you'd love to see that, but continue.
Right. So then the 4-back definitely feels like kind of the forced hand with 2 center backs out injured in your group already. And that being said, I think that ultimately now trickling into the first half, like we had our moments. The set pieces seem improved now that Pulisic is not on them, and that was something that a lot of fans were crying out for heading into this game, was to get him off of them. So like there were moments. Obviously, the Weston McKennie goal, like is set piece goal, does really well to break free and just kind of have a uncontested half volley to put it away. Those are all great things. And I know Pulisic had a couple opportunities that I think if you looked at every single one of those in a vacuum, it would be pretty harsh to say he should have scored one. But I mean, he put in his comments after the game that like my standards are that I should have scored at least once in that game, and I think fair play to him for saying that. So like there were opportunities, but to me, my understanding is this first half seemed a lot more like kind of a tennis match. Like for every opportunity we got, Belgium also came right back down and got theirs, and it's pretty open in that sense. And I think that it kind of was a byproduct of us with a different formation, and I think with that as well, like different midfield roles and understanding like when to cover. Like Doku was an absolute menace this entire game. First half not excluded from that, and there were so many times where him and Weah, basically were in a vacuum, and I think normally you see more cover there. Like I heard the point today. When Real Madrid played Man City in the Champions League, Real Madrid had Trent Alexander-Arnold plus 2 other midfielders following him around in their fixture. Mm-hmm. And there was just no support like that for Tim Weah in this game. Yeah,
and it was quoted. Pochettino talked about it after the game, and they talked about the Cardoso sub and among other things, but he was adamantly frustrated with the midfield after this game. And the midfield players, because I mean, all credit to Tim Weah. I think Tim Weah put in a shift for what he was being put on an island for. Like, right. And what Pochettino basically said of the game was that was not supposed to happen. Like he said, like that right center mid was in their game plan was supposed to be basically trapping Doku over there on that wing, like supposed to be double covering, and it just didn't happen. And they went against the game plan, and he was very frustrated. And I mean, in the end, let's talk about the second half a little bit. Like that's what led to the demise of this team. It was Doku found his space and destroyed the U.S. in the second half, and got them to the 3-1 lead basically on his own. And in that early second half, so I talked to you about this briefly in the pre-show, but tactically, I saw a great video from The Athletic where they talked about the breakdown of what kind of happened and how he found this space. Basically, the U.S. had Tanner Tessman a lot of times dropping his that third center back role at different points when the fullbacks Robinson and Weah went up, because 2 very attacking fullbacks. I think Robinson had a great game. His pass, the cross in to McKennie was great on that corner kick. He had quite a few good crosses in from the corner position, but so he would drop in when they would come up. Now on goal kicks, what Belgium did in the second half was basically they were like, we're not going to kick it directly to Doku because Mark McKenzie was just on him when goal kicks started. Once it was kicked to, like, say, the right-hand side of the field, opposite of Doku, Mark McKenzie would start to drift back to his normal positioning as a center back. In the meantime, Tim Weah would be so far up the field, there was this basically, 20-yard gap of time, where he had no one near him, and Belgium started playing these diagonal balls or balls through the middle to him diagonally, and he had so much space on these transition moments, and there wasn't there wasn't people filling in and filling that void, and that's where we go back to what we've talked about in the five back, lack of playing five back. If you play that natural five back, you have that natural back line behind these fullbacks. Like you have three guys rather than two. You're not depending on Tanner Tessman's IQ and speed to get back in positioning just in time, or Tim Weah to get back in positioning just in time. It's a natural line that's already existing. Yes, Doku could still attack that, but you have more bodies just resting there to begin with to create resistance. And I just think that's where we got abused. And I don't think we have the talent. And I think this is we go through the cycle every couple of years with the U.S. where we start to get a little hype, we start to get a little buildup of our players and what we're doing. Newsflash: we're not a top 10 team in the world. We're not. We have to play these nitty gritty, five back type positions because we're not good enough, and that's okay. That you don't have to be good enough, and not. And that doesn't mean you just lose. You can play this gritty five back way. That's saying we're gonna string this game out as long as possible to give us a chance to score a goal and to keep this game tight. Because when you don't and you try and play more attacking with the talent that we have versus even a team like Belgium who's transitioning right now, not one of the better Belgium teams we've ever seen in the world, their quality is still that much better than ours currently in their attacking. Like we don't have I love Christian Pulisic. Great, I love him. Christian Pulisic in an ISO is not Jeremy Doku. He's not. Jeremy Doku is above everyone else in this field, and they have that weapon that we don't have. And they have that level of Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield, pinging the ball around still at that age. And De Kettle up front is still a very quality striker. You have all these guys still that are a step above our players, and you have to play a different way to beat that. And you're going to see it again in Portugal. That's what I'm most interested in now going into Portugal is how are they going to change? Because I would be utterly shocked if we don't see a five back against Portugal after the way we played. And allowing 5 goals to this Belgium squad, we have to get these reps in with this five back if that's what we're truly going to play, and you have to get guys in their actual positioning. And you've now done so bad in this first game, Tony. I don't see how you don't take this second game serious. I think if you would have played well against Belgium and looked good, you could have maybe swapped out some guys and given some other guys some looks because you're okay, we know we're good, we know we are talented. Now you're at a point where I need to see our actual players play in this five back if that's what we want to play and see how that looks. And I'm sure Pochettino feels the same way to an extent. And I think even seeing guys like Chris Richards come out and say, I am playing Tuesday no matter what, speaks to that, and that probably this criticism they've gotten from Pochettino and the coaching staff after this Belgian game in this intensity they need to show. I hope that shows against Portugal because it has to... It has to change in some way. We can't roll out the same squad and expect a different result against this Portugal side because they're arguably, I think, actually it's just factually more dangerous than this Belgian team. It is a better team than this Belgian team on the attack. So I'm just worried about us getting caught with our pants down again, basically against Portugal in this formation if we don't switch it up.
Yeah. Well, here's where I'm kind of on the fence with is we throw out this formation. And right now it's impossible to know if this is what we're trying to run with, if this was what I tend to believe is because we were forced with 2 center back injury. Injuries are going to happen. There are going to be times we need to hit a curveball. And this is the concern is that it did not look like it was all on the same page in a different formation. And they've been in camp for how many days before this? I mean, I understand the injuries maybe a little bit.
I think that's where that's where I get frustrated. And I know you're thin at center back, so you probably don't want to play trusted because then if something happens to a center back, you don't have a backup center back on the bench to come in and rotate. I just don't get the desire to have to change the formation. They are together so limited throughout a year, throwing multiple formations at these guys. I don't think does a service to anybody. Put in Tanner Tessman as a center back. I don't it can't be worse than what we just saw. Just put in one of those guys to play that position so we can continue to practice and develop our play in this formation that we've had so much success on. We haven't lost when we've played a five back. The U.S. national team, Andres Pochettino, hasn't lost when we played a five back. Why do you switch it against the most talented teams we've played against at any point. It just blows my
Right.
mind. I couldn't believe it when I saw this team sheet.
And to be fair, I'll throw a counterpoint in this. The way we attacked in this formation does, or in possession in this formation does really mirror how we would. And I think if you're in Pochettino's shoes, you say, okay, well, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't like how many center backs I have right now. It's unfortunate circumstances with, what we've got in the back line, but at least we can simulate offense on this, and what that looks like. And I think that's why you still play Jedi and Weah, who are both ideally wingbacks, right? In this situation where you send both of them up free will, now you just kind of have to rotate around a little bit, or you send them both out and you call Tespin back. So it does look a little bit different, but I think it's as close as you can get with limited center back availability to like make the offense look, or you just practice that, right? And we got our goals, and I know one was a corner kick, but hey, we had to put the pressure up to be up there on that side of the field.
How we're gonna have to score in the World Cup,
right?
Like,
and then the second goal was the Pepe Ajiman high line, high press as well.
Looked
which,
good.
by the way, I love the cheekiness of subbing them on both at the same time, so we don't have an idea who's the preference there. We're just gonna do the line swap.
They didn't look terrible either. So.
No, and I think they're. Honestly, only a few minutes for them, so it's hard to take too big of judgments. But I think there's some of the few that you maybe buy a little bit of stock on them after this game. But all that to say, grand scheme of things with this game, if this was just a one-off with this formation, I find the result way more forgivable than if this is like, okay, we're starting to do this, or this is going to be our secondary formation. Like, this is the break in case of emergency formation when maybe shit hits the fan, like in the World Cup. I don't know. But that's the part where, I don't want to grab too much to, lows on this, because I think that it was just so different from what we normally do that it felt very out of so many people's elements on this one, and especially the subs when they come in on the second half, just felt very, very out of element. And at the same time too, the Arfston mistake, the Berhalter mistake,
Arfston got so
yeah, just sauteed. But those don't seem incredibly repeatable. You know what I mean? And yeah, Arfston, for that mistake, there was a worldie hit on his face too. Most guys, that kind of goal is not going to be hit on you on anyone that we're playing in the group stage in the World Cup.
Yeah, and that's where I don't really take the fourth and fifth goal super seriously in this game.
Yeah.
I'm not really counting that against the U.S. To be honest, it was against. There was a lot of rotation that happened. First off, they subbed off.
Right.
What was it? 1-2. They subbed off. Damn near everybody. Besides, only people to get subbed are center backs and Matt Turner in this game. So there was a lot of rotation that happened, which I think naturally. By the way, in a formation they were running and what they were demanding from their team in this formation in terms of rotation, which it was a lot more than you would see in a lot of formations. Asking the center men to constantly move back and forth from their position, the center back, is very demanding. And I think when you mix in 7 new players on the field, it's someone's going to have an error somewhere. And then, there were levels, to the talent on the field in that second half.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I love Max Arfston. I've been outspoken. I said I think he deserves a spot on this roster as, a backup wingback. He didn't look like a wingback in this game. He looked out of his element in talent-wise, and that was unfortunate. But I do want to do this really quick, Tony, because I think this is important, and which I think this result has now opened up. I think this result has opened up opportunity for some guys to kind of plant their flag in this second game, because I think there's going to be people who have an opportunity to show up in intensity-wise against a good team in Portugal and make their claim to be on this roster, 1, and 2, be featured on this roster quite a bit. I think the positions groups that I'm specifically watching in the second game, one of which is wingback, and I think it's the right wingback, because I think it was interesting to see Tim Weah in there. We talked about it. We didn't really know if he was going to be a wingback or an attacker, how they viewed him. Game 1, he's in there as a right wingback. I don't think either of us are upset by that. I don't think anyone's upset by that. I think talent wise, he's our most talented probably wingback as an overall player in this squad that we have. If you have the defense behind him, because I think he did as best as he could against Doku, but he truly is not a defender first player at all. So it's tough in that spot. I I think you're going to see Alex Freeman in this second starting lineup, and I think I'd be surprised if he's not as a center back or a right wing back in this one. And I think this is an opportunity for Alex Freeman. I mean, this is a guy who under Poch has looked great when he has played, and moved to Villarreal and really hasn't played much. So I'm sure that may have factored into this decision of not starting him in this game. But I've got to imagine he's going to be one of the guys to be rotated in. And I also want to see the striker position, dude. I think these second and third guys from Pepe and Ajiman are going to get a chance here against Portugal in some way, shape, or form. Balogun, I mean, didn't really do much in this game. Had a couple of opportunities, nothing really like right in front of net. It was more like borderline of the edge of the box. Like had some shots. In the first half, I actually thought in the opportunities he had, he struck the ball well. It was just like in tight situations. But I do think like the more that happens, the more you're letting somebody else kind of catch up to you a little bit. And I think you saw Ajiman score, you saw Pepe assist that goal. If they can get involved against Portugal, I think they're going to be closing the gap on Balogun and maybe get a start at some point in the group stage for the USA, which is a factor to me. And then it's also now the midfield, because I have no idea who's starting in the midfield.
Right.
Now Cardoso's injured. He's going back to Atletico Madrid, so he will not feature in the second game. Tanner Tessman in my mind is like now just like 1A above everybody else as a CDM. Like I don't think he's going to be pulled from this lineup if they're doing a real lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it will be. Was it just me Berhalter? Like that's going to feature now as the other starting guy. I mean, he made the air, which
Morris, maybe. You know,
I just think Berhalter's like the guy they go to though when they're like, "Hey, we need intensity and we need someone who's going to play for the badge."
He's higher up on the depth chart, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know he made the air in this game, but I think you give him a shot now, probably. I actually really didn't mind the top four that we had, Tony. I thought they played like somewhat decent.
Yeah.
Weston McKennie, dude, it is a joy to watch him on set pieces. I love the way he finds space, even in chances that don't find him. The runs he makes, he's open every single time. Like in some way or shape or form, he's open. Tillman, I think, looked solid at times. His connection with Pulisic and Balogun, I think, looked pretty good. And I think Pulisic needs to go to another level. We all can agree on that. Like, we just need him to go into that next level that he's shown at Milan at times. And Balogun needs to get more chances. I don't think we did a good enough job of giving him chances in this game. And then center back, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Chris Richards is going to start. He let us know that. I think Tim Ream did fine in the game. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to point at was like, our back line was bad, or was it our midfield was letting our back line down? Because that's what also it felt like at times. Like they were put in some bad transition spots where our fullbacks are out of position or our midfield is out of position, and then they're playing 2v3 against Jeremy freaking Doku over there, and like they're never going to win that battle. So I think that could stay the same or change. I have no idea besides Chris Richards. And then, of course, I think Matt Freese is starting this next game no matter what.
So then why play Matt Turner? That just like
the only thing I could think of is truly, Tony, that he wanted to give them both a look, and that you just got to pick one of the games for each of them. And I mean, Matt Freese was probably going to start against Portugal.
Yeah, maybe
Portugal's
pick the stronger opponent.
A better opponent. Like Portugal is a better team. So it's just the way it was scheduled. Like we're thinking first game is probably your best team. But in reality, Pochettino might have been thinking, hey, I want the better guys on the field for the second game. So, like, it will be interesting to see what this formation looks like, how the formation is set up, and then who's in it. And I'm more excited to see this formation than I even was for that first game, because I think it's going to speak levels to how Pochettino views this friendly and how the team takes this friendly and, like, who can take these spots going forward, because this is the last game before they decide the roster. So this is the last moment for some of these guys in those position groups that I was talking about to make their stance, and if they deserve to be on this roster and play consistently on this roster. So I'm I'm very interested. I'm sure there will be plenty of subs in the second half, just like in this
Oh
one.
yeah,
And
right.
it will happen. Both teams are going to do it, but I just want to see how it looks in that first half, especially.
Yeah, it just when you got two games that are so close together. I mean, you're going Saturday, Tuesday. I think it's just natural. I mean, a lot of subs obviously in this game. A lot of guys played about an hour. You'll probably see something similar in this one too. You're not going to see too many folks go the full 90. Especially, that's what makes it kind of interesting is that like you had three people on our team go the full 90. It was Matt Turner, Tim Ream, and Mark McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that kind of also maybe speaks a little bit to some about how much Poch is trusting the center back situation at the moment. So I don't know. I just keep going back to like I can't find great things to pull away from this because of the switch up like that. I hope that really, I mean, really what I'm pulling away from this, I'm hearing your pep talk on like, hey, there's opportunity for people, but I just feel like the depth is what the depth is. If we saw what our depth did against Belgium, I just think it's going to be a similar story against Portugal. Maybe we sit back a little bit deeper and we've learned our lesson, like you said. Maybe the midfielders act a little bit more in sync with the back line. Maybe that prevents a goal or two. But I just think that in terms of like how that second half looked and like take number of shots, XG, whatever, off the board for a second, like just the eye test of what that game looked like, Belgium ran that second half. And I think that you're still going to see something similar like that against Portugal. But like,
Yeah, but that's where it's like we keep saying, we've said this now for months.
yeah,
We aren't Portugal. We will
correct.
never be the team against Portugal that runs the ball.
Yes.
So that's why we say run that fucking back. Like,
right, exactly.
Play the nitty-gritty formation because that's the only way we will compete in the World Cup to go past the round of 32. Like,
and
that is
I
the
think,
only way.
Right. Because center back is just naturally, for us, it's a thinner spot. I mean, just talent-wise, right? So you need an extra one to kind of cover some of those vulnerabilities. And I think that I am willing to trust Weah and McKinney and hopefully Pulisic. Like, okay, like if you're adding a center back onto the field, that means you're taking away something else, right? Like if that's a midfielder or if that's attacker, that's just the nature of it. But I think we have the talent up top that we're lacking at the bottom in the back to be able to cover for that. But my ultimate point here is it's got to be a formation that, we're not a top 10 team, like you said. So what are we going to do to operate beyond like the sum of our parts? Because that's the only way that we break through this glass ceiling of ours, to get into the later stages of this tournament, which is the hope and the dream. So, and following that train of thought, I think that is the five back. I think that we have guys that can be kind of two-way, like that have some good serviceability and also can defend a little bit. I know that sounds crazy after what we just watched with Arston and Weah, though I don't think that was too much on Weah. I mean, he plays right back for Marseille. Like he's not. I don't think he's a liability. I think you're just playing against a player that is
the best player on the team.
in the best, some of the best form of their life. But
one of the best wingers in the world. That's what you're going against
right now. Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to see that. Probably not even in a round of 16.
None of the group stage, like that is not
absolutely not
even close.
So like there's some cover there, and like if you do see something like that, it's like, okay, Mo Salah is playing for Egypt. There's only one player on this team, so let's all just watch him.
So if there's not more than one guy covering him, that's a problem.
Correct. Like it's not like there's other talent on a lot of these teams. Like these are kind of the middle tier countries that have like one or two amazing talents. But then everything else is MLS, so it's like, you go from
Mickey
there.
Almiron's not doing that anymore. Don't worry.
Correct. That's right. And I said that. I do want to bring up that too, like the MLS hate that I've seen a lot on Twitter. I just don't find it that relevant, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It was a total cop-out after that game.
I think saying like,
half the subs didn't come until we were down 4-1.
Correct.
And that was it was a cop-out.
And just in general, like people saying like, oh, like the MLS guys are letting us down. Like that, it's just time and place. Like that'd be the same thing. In my mind, that's saying the same thing as like, all these guys from Texas, they are just, like not doing well. We cannot call up guys from Texas. Like it doesn't make sense.
If you're saying that about MLS guys, why can't I go, oh, look, Christian Pulisic didn't do anything in this game?
Correct. Like it's time and place, and like that's just not relevant to necessarily the quality or what a player can add, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that part I'm like wanted to shut that down for a minute, but
it's always going to exist. Unfortunately, there's just some people who are snobby about it. It is what it is. I think you could see the MLS player have a big moment in the World Cup, and that's the reality. So,
and to that point, we're not going to see someone that we're going to count on like Pulisic who plays in MLS. They will be, in Europe, but like to say that there's no place for them, like on the field, I don't subscribe to that.
You look at the biggest countries in the world, and they have guys that play in their country's leagues playing on that roster. Like, it's everywhere. It's not just the USA. Like, the Brazilian squad has guys who play in the Brazilian league on their team. Like, it is a thing that happens in all of these countries because they need dependable veteran guys on these rosters, and that is what it is. We'll all be okay. Don't worry. Look at this lineup. There was two MLS players starting in this lineup.
Yeah,
we'll be okay. And it was a center back and a goalie.
Right.
I think we'll survive.
Right.
Interesting. I know you made a face earlier when I said Matt Turner probably should have saved that one. I don't think Matt Turner did himself any favors in this game with some of these.
Okay.
Now there's some bangers on him. I'm not holding that against him. I just think when he's I'm more looking at the lens of like, convince me you should be the starter right now. And I think he's telling himself right now in his hotel room, probably going, I need to save that first goal just because I need to make a moment for myself to make this roster. And I think that was one of them. Like, I think if he makes that save, we're all sitting here going, ooh, Matt Turner had a really good first half in this game. Like, that's a reality that could have existed.
Yeah. But I think it still exists. Like, we're still going to say he made good saves in this game,
Totally.
Like,
but the reality is if we only allow 3 to Portugal, it's still just going to, like, eye test to the fans, just be like, oh, that looks better.
Yeah.
So I do feel for him that he had, like, 3 worldies on his head during this game because and one was a penalty. Like, it never looks great. So
yeah, I think though that that first goal, like, I agree, he probably should have saved it. Just, rule of thumb, he did get his hand to it, so you think that if they can touch, if they can touch it, they can parry it away. Shouldn't have been in the goal, right?
3 people should have touched it.
That's true. Reamed, or was it Tessman in front of that? Or Cardoso, yeah.
Like, pull his foot out of the way.
Yeah, it was yeah, dude. But to that point, like, that is a tough shot coming through traffic. You don't see it till last second.
It was beautifully hit. Credit to the defender that hit it. I think it was it DeBost or something like that? Like,
it was DeBost.
He destroyed it.
But, like, I don't love the rule of thumb that, like, if you touch it, that means you should save it, just because
that wasn't even my reasoning. I think he was, and I'm sure it was because it crossed so many bodies, but he was pretty delayed in reacting to it. It's easy to say in slow motion. That ball was hit really hard, and it was a knuckleball basically,
and it was through
in the
traffic.
corner.
Yeah. It's just
I get it. Like I said, I'm just looking at the lens of, like, what he's probably telling himself, and he's probably telling himself right now, like, I needed to save that goal. And I think if Matt Freese has a moment like that in this Portugal game and he makes the save, like, that's Matt Turner's gonna be looking back at that game being like, damn it, like, I needed to save that goal. So that's how thin I think the goalkeeper margin is right now for who wants to be the starter. I'm not saying Matt
to
Turner,
your point, he didn't make up ground. He didn't make
and Matt Freese could easily do the same thing. So I'm not sitting here saying Matt Freese is so much better.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's gonna be a stress. I'm more stressed about this game because I think for that point that I'm talking about I think guys can really make a statement and could really affect their playing time going into the World Cup. Especially, like you said, if we're playing 5-back, I think you can really flush this first result down the drain and just be like, especially if they play 5-back and it's, like, competitive. I'm not thinking we're going to beat Portugal, by the way. I think we will lose this game. But if we lose this game like 2-1, you're going to come out of it feeling pretty good. And playing a 5-back and, like, say it's a competitive 2-1, I just don't if you just see another result like this and we're playing 4-back again, it's really going to make me question what we're doing. I just like it's this classic. I feel like we just took 4 steps forward last couple windows, and we just took a step back because we had to change formations due to injury, hopefully, and hopefully Chris Richards comes back. I mean, adding a player like that first off is just massive from like a experience standpoint, and he's playing against these guys week in, week out, and then hopefully in the next friendly set, like adding Tyler Adams back to the fold, like he is a guy, by the way. If he was in that Cardoso role where it's like, or a Testament role where it's like, hey, we need you to go back to the center back positioning, I feel a million times better about because of just the veteran leadership that he is. So there are parts of it like that where I'm like, 2 of our basically best players, 2 of our top 5 to 6 players were out of this game.
Yeah.
And you hope that with them back, it brings some more stability into the squad. But, I mean, like you said, if we go to a 5-back, you're really probably, like, let's say you're talking about moving Cardoso out because of injury. You're placing Chris Richards in there, playing the 5-back. You're now looking at probably Tessman and McKennie as the 2 center mids in this formation.
Yep.
Which McKennie played pretty deep at times, even as, like, a winger in this one. So that's just his natural, like, box-to-box. Like, that's just who he is. So he's going to get back and forth.
He had to slide in so Pulisic could go up.
And then Pulisic will go up as a second striker, and then Tillman or Gio Reyna, featuring this one, did not look great, by the way. Gio Reyna was in the game. He was, like, a bit sloppy.
Ran cardio.
Tillman or Reyna, whoever's playing that cam role, now is going to be the key piece in that build-up at offense. Like, that's a lot more pressure on that player specifically to connect with the strikers and get them in transition points, and allows the fullbacks to come up. Also, we've talked about it. Set pieces just have to be a part of this team. Like, if you're me playing a 5-back and you're going to be in low-scoring games, you have to deliver on set pieces. So having a guy like Chris Richards back in that scenario is super helpful. And then you need Weston McKennie to continue to be the set piece like monster that he is. My only downside with Balogun is he's pretty irrelevant on set pieces.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Like he's just not big enough in a lot of situations to make a team feel nervous or they need to put someone on him. And that's where I think you do have the argument if we're playing a 5-back. Oh, would a Ricardo Pepi be better in that scenario just because, or Patrick Agimon, because they're a bigger bodied striker and they demand space more than Balogun does, who's a lot more like skilled on his feet rather than like a set piece player like that. So lots of questions. We will find out tomorrow. We'll be watching the stress with you guys, and then Friday we'll start the episode with reactions, and hopefully we're happy. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, if we did the 5-back, okay, and basically the rest of the lineup looks relatively the same in the attack, right? You got Chris Richards in, and then fill in the center backs how you want. If we lose by 3 goals, how are you feeling? If it's a 3-goal margin, just like how we lost by 3 goals here, how are you feeling if we lose by 3 goals, but you have the right formation?
I just think it's going to depend on how they were scored.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I don't know. It like in this game, like yes, there were worldies, but we got worked by Doku because of our formation. That's what concerns me. If it's like a 5-back and they scored 2 headers off a corner kick and they hit 1 worldie, I'm like,
right.
Like, is that repeatable? Like Panama and Australia aren't going to be doing that. So I just like I think you can flush that as well. I don't know. I think it also comes down to if you're playing 5-back, you can't allow a ton of goals. So I think I'll be frustrated in that aspect, and also how the offense looks because the offense is just like pitiful. I don't know. And I don't know if that's why he's trying this 4-back. Like, is he trying it because he wants us to deploy this at some point if he needs to get some more attack? Because our attack looked good at times. Like, we had more opportunities. Like, we easily could have scored more than 2 goals. And I think maybe that's why he's doing it too. So, I don't know. I don't even bring that up. Let me react in a moment to that.
Okay.
I'm not predicting status. What do we win by 3, Tony? What do we win 3-0?
I'd be pissed. I would. Yeah. There's just a part of me that wants to self-sabotage. Like,
stop it.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. That'd be great.
I mean, if we won 3-0, the hype train would get a little crazy,
I
and
was
people
gonna
would be
say,
like, "You idiot! Never play anything but a 5-back again."
we would turn the entire nation would look like Cincinnati fans as soon as that first group stage game ends 1-1. Like we'll be like, Potch out. We don't even need to
Yeah.
play the rest of the tournament with him. Get him
If
out.
yeah, I mean, if we even play decent, like if we were competitive with a 5-back, I think people will on social media after and be like, "Why do you ever play
Yeah.
anything but this? Like,
Right.
just commit. It is not worth it. Just commit to it." So, we'll have plenty of reactions. We appreciate you guys listening here and listening to us just rant into a mic about our national team and a friendly that means absolutely nothing, but it means everything. Okay,
Yeah, this one just went
To
straight
those out
into the
there that say
void, this
sports don't
episode.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had I was listening to a friend's story, by the way, on our friend Tanner was on a plane and he's a Duke fan, and he was landing as they lost. Like they were everyone, and they were landing in an airport that's a bunch of Duke fans. Like all the people landing were going back home where they're Duke fans, and he said everyone had it on the screens in front of them, and they were sitting there and they lose. So like everyone's just like depressed. They said some guy just stood up and was like, "It's just a game, guys. It's all good. It's just a game. Who cares?" And someone was like, "Shut up!" Like, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, shut up. And that's how I am for people who are like, "It's just a friendly." I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
It matters.
But also, who's the guy to say it's just a friendly? Like,
the worst.
you have
type
the
of
audacity to stand up on a plane and be like, "Actually, this is how you're supposed to feel, my man." Like,
Yeah. Next time, I'm gonna say when you're. This is I'm about to say a really dark joke. I'm not gonna pass on that one. No, I'll tell you off screen. So
yeah,
we'll pass on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like I said, this is gonna be a shorter episode. We just wanted to recap here, talk about what happened this Friday. We will have MLS back over the weekend, so we will be talking and previewing all of those games. It always is a weird week when you come back to MLS play because it's like everyone's kind of rested, but it's like still early in the season,
really.
so you don't really know who's really good yet, and it's a weird prediction week. So we'll predict all those. We'll recap USA beating Portugal, playing a 5-back with Chris Richards back, and a dominant US win.
That's what we need.
But all jokes aside, we appreciate you guys. Please, if you're watching YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. We love hearing. We've had a couple people comment. Some from our MLS episodes talking about that they were at the games we were talking about, things like that. We love that. And on Spotify, follow, continue to listen, and give us feedback on what you want to hear about next. So with that being said, we will see you guys on Friday.
See ya.